How many of you know what the meaning, you reap what you sow means? Okay. Well, for those of you that do not know, you reap what you sow basically means whatever you put out into the universe, you will get back in. Some people call it karma, but you reap what you sow is actually a biblical scripture. It also happens to be my grandma's favorite saying. Fellow Toastmasters, distinguished and welcome guests, my grandma always said, you reap what you sow. And just to tell you a little bit about my grandmother, she was a little old southern woman from a very small country town in South Georgia. She stood about yay high, which is also why I'm so vertically challenged. She had this funny little voice, and it had a southern drawl, so you may hear that come out as well. So when you say you reap what you sow, and we say it, it just sounds like you reap what you sow. When she says it, it sounds more like, you gonna reap what you sow. Now, it didn't matter what was going on, Grandma always said, you gonna reap what you sow whenever she had the chance. I can remember growing up, going to Grandma's house during the summer, spending the summers there with what seemed like 900 of my cousins. Some of them you knew, some of them you didn't know. You look like you were there. Are you my cousin?
I might be.
We'll talk later. Grandma lived at the end of this long dirt road in a small brick house, 4 bedrooms, flat, nothing fancy. On the outside, it looked very small, but on the inside, she literally fit 900 cousins and kids. Now, in a small country town, there's not much to do. Go outside and play, make up a game or two. Now, making up games can be dangerous for kids. Someone is bound to get into a fight. And whenever it happens, here comes Grandma, storming outside with one added effect that made chills run down your spine. She always came out with her glasses on her nose. I don't know what it meant, but you felt it when Grandma looked at you over those glasses. She'd come out there and we're fighting, and she'd break us up, and she'd say, quit hopping around like a porcupine with no needles. I don't know. That's a country saying, I don't know. And once she found out who the agitator was, she'd break us apart, and she'd look at him over those glasses with her hand on her hip and say, you don't do that to your family. Now, you gonna reap what you sow. Now, come on here. Now, at the end of every you gonna reap what you sow, she added, now, come on here. I have no idea. She had an appointment, and we had somewhere to be at a certain time. She just said, now, come on here. Even when we were in the house, Grandma would be all the way in the front room, all the way up here, and we'd be all the way back in the back room. It was like Grandma had x-ray vision, and she could see through the wall. And if we were doing anything wrong, she would yell, I know what you're doing back there. You gonna read what you saw. Now come on here. And we just stop what we're doing because we think she's peeping around the corner. Now, there came a time when we realized Grandma was getting just a little carried away with that singing. It was a Sunday morning, and it's the only time that Grandma moves fast. She'd run around the house yelling, get up, everybody get up! Everybody jump up, get ready for church, and she'd pack all of us up in her Buick. You too. He was the last one out of the house. I don't know. And we would be riding to church. We'd get to church, and Grandma get out of the car, hustling. Hey, come on, y'all, come on! And she go in church, go all the way down to the first pew. All of us sitting behind her in the second and third pews. The ushers are hiding their faces because Grandma was very vocal and embarrassing. They didn't want to deal with her. There was no time to pick her up off the floor. Every Sunday. And Grandma would sit all the way down the front rocking and waiting on Pastor to preach. And if he looked like he wanted to utter the words, you gonna reap what you sow, she would cut him off mid-sentence and yell, that's right, Pastor, tell him. You gonna reap what you sow now, come on would just slide down in the pew and hide their faces in shame. And the pastor would be looking like, all right now, Sister Powell, I'm preaching this sermon. That didn't stop her. Grandma kept going. And she would look back at us, sit down, and everybody jump up at attention. That was Grandma on a Sunday. So when we realized that she was saying, you gonna reap what you sow too much, we try to beat her to the punch. And every time she come over with her hand on the hip and looking over those glasses, we just look up at her and say, we know, we're gonna reap what we sow. Now the last memory I have of spending the summer at Grandma's house, we all went into town to go shopping with Grandma. Now in town is, in a rural area, small country area, all the stores are in one place, that's in town. So we all go in town, and coming out of the store, one of my cousins sees money rolled up on the ground. He runs to pick it up and put it in his pocket. And there's always that one cousin. Give me some, I'm gonna tell. So he unrolls the dollars and he starts to give them some. And when the rest of us see it, we say, we're gonna tell too, give us some. So we're standing in a circle, waiting on her to give us waiting on him to give us $1 or $2. And then here comes Grandma. We all look up at her and we say, we know, we're gonna reap what we sow. Grandma looked over her glasses, put her hands on her hip, and said, where's my cut? Now come on here, let's go. Contest